When discussing child custody after a breakup, I unexpectedly ran into my ex who also happened to be a lawyer. His eyes locked onto mine. Whose child is it? Obviously not yours. My best friend Sophie Tang was pregnant. She was afraid of being harassed by her ex, but still wanted clarity about child custody rights. With no other option, I had to go in her place. So I went to a law firm called Zhongsheng. Who's the best lawyer here? I asked the receptionist. She smiled politely. Please register first. After I signed in, someone led me to the top floor. They knocked on the door 3 times, then left me to enter on my own. When I opened the door, a man was bent over his desk, writing something. He looked oddly familiar. I stepped forward. Hello, The moment he looked up, my words died in my throat. I coughed from choking. Ethan Carter? Seriously? Why him? Talk about bad luck. Ethan Carter also froze slightly when he saw me, then pointed to the chair across from him. Sit. Same commanding tone as always. That hadn't changed a bite, and it still annoyed the hell out of me. I didn't sit. Ethan, then don't. I immediately sat down. I always wanted to go against him. But seeing the smug little smirk on his lips, I realized I'd just walked into a trap. Ethan asked coolly, What kind of consultation? Speak. I raised my chin slightly. If a woman gets pregnant after a breakup, who gets custody of the child? He looked at me and, as a supposed professional, asked a very professional follow-up. Whose child? Seriously? He stared pointedly at my stomach. Was he thinking I was the one pregnant? I straightened my posture. Obviously not yours. Ethan gave a faint smirk. Of course not. We've been broken up for 2 years. I don't have remote impregnation powers, and you're not some kind of goddess birth miracle. Still as sharp-tongued as ever. If you can't answer my question, find me another lawyer. Custody usually goes to the mother assuming she's capable of raising the child. That means having a job, savings. He looked me over. You should be fine. I lifted my chin, confident. Of course I'm fine. His answer reassured me a bit. I stood. Thanks, I'll be leaving now. He responded coldly. Just as I reached the door, he added, If it ends up in court, come to me. I turned around. He gave me a commercial-grade smile. Out of old acquaintance, support my business. Sure, I replied with a fake grin and walked out. Outside, I let out a long breath. First round of facing my exy won. At least Ethan Carter thought I was pregnant. I called Sophie. Guess who I ran into? Ethan Carter. Can you believe it? The lawyer I met with turned out to be him. His firm is right here. Sophie. So what about custody? Usually goes to the mother unless she's unfit into gambling or drugs. Good. Then I'm not worried. Thanks, but you can stop stressing over my stuff. Time for you to gear up for battle with your ex. She hung up. She really knew me. If that jerk shows up, just say you're the one who's pregnant. Sophie had repeated that line 1,000 times on our way to her prenatal checkup. Are all moms to be this naggy? Got it. I'm not a goldfish. I don't have a 7-second memory, I said, irritated. That goldfish thing is a myth, but your memory really does seem stuck at 7 seconds, Sophie retorted like I was hopeless. Fine, I won't help you anymore. At the hospital, after a bunch of tests, everything looked normal. I helped Sophie up. You really going to have this baby? Being a single mom isn't easy. She gave me a look, but said nothing. After a few more steps, she suddenly pulled her arm away from me. Before I could react, the cocky voice of her awful ex, Mason Quinn, rang out. Well, if it isn't my sweet little angel. What are you doing here? Sophie pinched my waist lightly. I quickly played along. I'm pregnant. Sophie's here to accompany me for my checkup. You're pregnant? Mason stared at my belly. Sophie smacked him on the head. What the hell? Staring at someone else's stomach like that? Mason looked at me, stunned. You? Pregnant? What is this spontaneous generation? His mouth was begging for a slap. I pointed at him. Sophie, hit him for me. She did another smack to the back of his head. Get lost. Mason scratched his head. Come on, I'll drive you two home. No need. Save your car for your close colleague, Sophie said icily, then grabbed my arm and stormed off. Mason trailed behind us, mumbling the whole way. I told you 100 times I was just giving her a ride. You don't like it? Fine, I won't do it again. You're still mad about that tiny thing? He kept rambling all the way to the car, and only shut up after we got in. Sophie remained silent and cold. Honestly, their breakup was a blessing. Mason was too much. That night, Mason suddenly called me, laughing. I know why you're pregnant now. Ha ha ha! What is wrong with you? Let's go out. Bar's buzzing tonight. He sent me an address. I was always up for a party. Be right there. When I arrived, I saw Sophie was already there too. Everyone was drinking except her. She had a Yakult in hand. I sat beside her and whispered, Why are you still hanging out with that scumbag? She winked. I didn't ask further and reached for a drink, but a big hand suddenly grabbed my wrist. What the? I turned and almost screamed. Ethan Carter? Why was he here? He took the glass from me. Pregnant women don't drink. Then he tilted his head back and finished the drink himself. I mouthed to Sophie, What's going on? She pointed at Mason. Mason came over grinning, and Sophie scooted aside, leaving him room to sit beside me. When did you and Ethan get back together? He whispered. Could have given me a heads up. My mom's been bugging me to set you up, but turns out you're already back with him. If I hadn't noticed your belly getting rounder, you'd still be hiding it, huh? I slapped the back of his head. Shut it! Mason leaned past me toward Ethan. Man, teach me your ways. You actually got someone like Olivia Grant to behave, and she's even having your baby. That's legendary. He patted Ethan's leg. Seriously, help me out. My girl's still mad at me. Ethan shoved him off. Watch it. Only then did Mason sit properly and clasp his hands in apology. Sorry almost crushed Ethan's baby there. Sophie! I screamed in frustration. His mouth was unbearable. Someone had to stop him. But Ethan calmly said, The baby's not mine. Holy shot! Mason jumped up, staring at me like I was an alien. Olivia, are you capable of asexual reproduction or something? And Sophie dragged Mason off. They didn't come back. Ethan stared at me, eyes sharp. Talk. Talk about what? The baby. He glanced at my belly. Even Mason doesn't know whose it is. Who have you been seeing? We broke up, and he still wanted to control me like I was his kid. Who did he think he was? That's what I hated most about him. Always trying to manage everything, even more than my dad. That's why we broke up. Now he was worse than ever. Why do you care who I'm pregnant with? Under the dim bar lights, Ethan's expression darkened. He suddenly stood, grabbed me, and pulled me toward his car. What are you doing? I yelled. Ethan was intense but didn't shout. He just used that low, pressured voice of his. Whose child is it? It's definitely not yours. Why do you care? Olivia, you're 26. You're not a kid anymore. He began lecturing. You have to be responsible for your body, for the little life inside you. I'll ask again. Whose baby is it? I lost it. What do you mean I'm not being responsible? I am. Ethan Carter, you're a lawyer. Can't you choose your words more carefully? Want me to sue you for slander? He tilted his head, eyes deep and unreadable. I stopped yelling. Whatever the case, I'll take responsibility for this child. And how exactly do you plan to do that? His voice turned cold. Be a single mom? Do you think a child born into a broken family will be happy?" I froze. He kind of had a point. I needed to tell Sophie to think this through. But judging by how she and Mason were still stuck together, that baby likely wouldn't be raised by a single mom. As for Ethan, "What does this have to do with you? Aren't you sticking your nose in too much?" He was silent for a while, then nodded. "You're right. I shouldn't care." He leaned back in his seat, closed his eyes. He looked tired. After 2 years, his face hadn't changed, still heartbreakingly handsome. It was because of that face that I agreed to date him at all. And for 2 years afterward, that same face had kept me trapped. I hated eating breakfast, but he forced me to get up at 7 a.m. for it. Fresh out of grad school and job hunting, he not only gave me money, but arranged a job. It was like having a second set of parents. The job only required 2 to 3 HRs a day. The rest of the time I did nothing. I could already see my future stretching out like a dull road. I told him I hated it. He still made me do it. After 2 years of enduring that boring job, I snapped and quit. He yelled at me and I proposed we break up. He didn't even agree at first. I rolled my eyes. Who was he to say no? After enough of my drama, he finally gave in and left. Looking at him now, 2 years later, he hadn't changed, still trying to manage my life like I was his child. But we were nothing to each other now. I quietly moved closer. Ethan suddenly opened his eyes sharp like a hawk's, intense and commanding. "What are you doing?" he asked hoarsely. "Ethan, how about this? I'll have the baby and you raise it. That way the child will have a complete family." I said it just to piss him off. I didn't believe for a second that he wouldn't explode. But all he did was stare at me in silence. Unshaken. Impressive. I slumped back into the seat in defeat. Then Ethan spoke, low and clear. "Have you really thought it through?" "Thought what through?" "Letting me be the father of this child." "Oh." "You tell me, what do you think he meant?" I recounted Ethan Carter's exact words to my advisor and best friend, Sophie Tang. She rubbed her chin, squinting thoughtfully before finally saying, "He offered to be the child's father figure. Ethan Carter must still be head over heels for you." "Right?" I slapped my thigh. "I knew it. That mutt still has feelings for me." Sophie leaned in closer and inspected my face. "So what do you think?" I frowned. "What am I supposed to think?" She suddenly pointed at my mouth. "Close that thing you're grinning so wide I can see your molars." "Owen." "Okay, fine. I admit it. I was very happy. But still, he hasn't changed a bit. Still loves controlling me. If I got back together with him, wouldn't that make our breakup pointless?" Sophie nodded. "That's true." She sighed, sounding disappointed. "You know, life really is unfair. You end up with someone like a dad, while I fell for someone who acts like a grandkid. I'm telling you, if you dated someone like Mason Quinn, you'd have lost your mind." I agreed. No matter who I ended up with, it would never be someone like Mason. "But hey, your belly's still flat. What are you going to tell Ethan Carter a few months from now?" Sophie asked, eyes glued to my stomach. "Why should I have to explain anything to him?" "Then why did you lie about being pregnant?" "Owen, what if Ethan finds out I'm not actually pregnant? Will he laugh in my face?" "Number, no way. I have to get pregnant for real, fast." "Sophie." Later I got a call from my mom asking me to come home for dinner. I didn't expect it to be a full-blown ambush. There I stood in the middle of the living room, while my parents sat solemnly on the couch, staring at me like I was a criminal. "Tell us, who does the baby in your belly belong to?" I was stunned. "How do you even know?" And then it hit me. "Who else?" "Mason Quinn. That little weasel." I gritted my teeth and closed my eyes. "I'm not even pregnant. Don't believe his nonsense." Are you sure the baby's not Ethan Carter's? My mom asked hopefully. So even the part about Ethan being back was shared with them. He's definitely dead meat. Mom, even if it was, there's nothing between us anymore. My dad slapped his thigh loudly. Ha! Now she's telling the truth, see? Forced her to confess. So, whose kid is it? Andres. All right, Mason, you asked for this. Fine, I'll tell the truth. The baby's Mason Quinn's. There, a truth bomb. Next thing I knew, my parents staged a second ambush, this time for Mason. He showed up and got beaten black and blue by my parents. Then the two of us got kicked out of the house together. My mom pointed at us. Go ahead, keep messing around. I'd love to see how you explain this to Sophie. With tears in his eyes, Mason asked, What did you tell them? I said the baby was yours. What? Mason clutched his swollen face. Olivia, what did I ever do to you? Why are you setting me up like this? He wasn't pretending. He still liked me. I told Sophie everything. She asked, And what about you? Me? I paused, sorting through my emotions. I still like him too. Sophie clicked her tongue. I knew it. But I really hate how he treats me like a child. I can't stand it. Whenever I was around him, I always felt like an ignorant kid. It hurt my pride. Sophie stared at me silently for a moment, then suddenly asked, Have you ever read Emma? What? I think you should. The male lead is just like Ethan Carter, but the female lead, she was totally insufferable, always wrong, always self-righteous. But in the end, under his influence, she grew up and they got married. Wait, what was she trying to say? You mean I'm the insufferable one? Self-righteous? Sophie nodded honestly. A little. Oh, Ethan didn't contact me again. I heard from Mason, that mouth of his, that he had gone on a business trip. Meanwhile, I took Sophie's advice and finished reading Emma. And the female lead nearly drove me insane. Was I, like her? Does that mean everyone finds me annoying? How did Ethan even tolerate me? He really is something else. I told Sophie. I finished the book, but I refuse to believe I'm as unbearable as that girl. But she grew up, remember? Then I can grow up too. I lifted my chin. I'm going to get back together with Ethan. Sophie, are you serious? I nodded. Dead serious. The truth is, I've always liked Ethan Carter. I never truly let him go. But it's also true that I hated how he controlled me. It felt like I had an extra dad in my life. But after finishing that book, I realized maybe having someone like a dad isn't such a bad thing. If I just act a little cute, Ethan never stays mad at me anyway. So, since it was the weekend, I decided to find out where Ethan was staying during his trip. Thanks to that mouth of Mason, I got the name of the hotel and booked a room there for one night. I had a plan. That evening I ran into Ethan. He looked genuinely surprised to see me. What are you doing here? I just happened to be nearby. You came alone? What floor are you staying on? He asked. He never let me stay at hotels alone ever since he once saw a story about a woman who had an incident when traveling solo. Yeah, I'm alone. He looked at me for a moment. When are you heading back? Not sure. Not sure? Geez, why are you asking so many questions? I stomped my foot and softened my voice. I'm here, so of course I need to settle my business before going home. Sure enough, Ethan stopped prying. He glanced at his watch. Have you eaten? I shook my head. So he took me out to eat. After the meal, I managed to find out his room number and headed back to mine. I took a long shower, changed into a sexy nightgown, threw on a stylish coat, and went to knock on his door. He had also just showered and was wearing a white bathrobe. What's up? I took off my coat and placed it on the sofa. When I looked up, I saw Ethan giving me a complicated look. The way he looked at me made me feel guilty. "What is it?" "You can sleep on the bed." He picked up his phone. "I'll call for an extra blanket." Was he doing this on purpose? He's usually so sharp I don't believe for a second that he didn't catch on. I walked over and stopped him. "That's enough." He looked at me cautiously. I wrapped my arms around his neck. "Ethan, have you missed me these past 2 years?" "Let go." His voice was low and firm. I pressed my chest against him on purpose. "I missed you a lot." "Olivia," Ethan sighed, "stop fooling around." "I'm not joking." "Then what are you doing?" "Can't you tell?" I tugged down the strap of my nightgown. "How about now? Or do I need to strip all the way for you to get it?" Ethan swallowed. "And if I do?" End of section. Ugh, this guy's so boring. I flopped down on the edge of the bed. It bounced twice. "You obviously still like me, and I still like yous. What's the point in pretending anymore?" "So what if I like you? You don't like how I love you?" I looked up, eyes filled with hope. "Then can't you stop trying to control me?" "Number," he answered without hesitation. "If you were someone else I wouldn't care. But you're not." I sighed. "I just want to do the things I like." "I'm not stopping you from doing what you like." Ethan sat next to me. "But you have to admit I'm 6 years older. I understand how the world works better than you do." As much as I hated to admit it, he was right. The job he arranged for me before was honestly way better than my current one. Now I'm overworked and scolded daily. Sometimes I even doubt my own abilities. I want to prove myself, but the process is really tough. Ethan just didn't want me to suffer like that. Yes, I'm doing what I want, but am I happy? Probably not. Ethan gently brushed his hand against my cheek, that warmth just like before. I snuggled into his arms. He held me for a moment, then suddenly let go and started getting dressed. "What are you doing?" "Going out to buy something." "Buy something? Now?" He came back quickly. I guess he doesn't want to end up like Sophie and Mason having a kid before getting married." He gently touched my stomach, chuckled, and asked, "So, really no baby?" I glared at him. "Who would I even be pregnant with? Don't talk nonsense." He fell completely silent after that. Didn't say another word. "So, you came all the way here just for this?" The next morning at breakfast, Ethan smiled as he asked. The smug look on his face made me want to punch him. Such a shameless man. And who was the one pretending to be all prim and proper, turning me down? Hypocrite. Ethan burst out laughing. "That wasn't it. You changed your mind so fast, Al. Was I supposed to know you weren't just going to regret it again?" Sure. Everything's my fault. You're never wrong, huh?" I rolled my eyes. If I knew it'd be like this, I wouldn't have bothered coming. "See? That proves my point." Ethan chuckled helplessly, but there was so much love in his eyes. I raised my chin. "So I can't even joke now. Are you going to nitpick everything I say? Should I start writing scripts before I talk to you just to make sure I don't slip up?" Ethan handed me a glass of milk. "Here, drink this." "Yes, Dad." "What did you just call me?" His eyes lit up a little. "And for this guy is seriously ento. You perv." "What did I do?" "You're just a perv, that's all." Ethan's work wasn't finished yet, and I had to go back to my job, so I ended up heading home alone. He walked me to the high-speed train station. "Call me when you get off the train. Don't go straight to your place tonight. Go to your parents' house first, and let me know once you arrive." Yeah, I know. You've said that like 100 times." I pushed him away. "Just go already." Ethan smiled softly. "All right then, I'm going. Bye." "Hey, wait." I tugged on his sleeve and gave him a quick kiss on the lips. His ears immediately turned red, and I smiled in satisfaction as I boarded the train. He stood there watching me, smiling. I blew him a kiss. As the train slowly pulled away, Ethan faded out of view. He even bought a platform ticket just to see me off just for a few minutes. So considerate. But my heart was full of warmth. Even after 2 years, he hadn't changed a bit. He was still the same Ethan Carter. Why did I waste those 2 years? On Monday, I got yelled at again by my balding boss. Seriously, what is this guy's problem with me? Why are you glaring at me? You don't like what I said? Then take my job and fire me. As if I wouldn't love to. Please enjoy your manager chair while it lasts. I'm young, I've got time. I'll revise the proposal, I said, grabbing my folder and walking out. No need to be angry. I have Ethan Carter now. Just thinking about us being back together made all my irritation melt away. I stayed up again to revise the proposal, but this time I worked from home. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I rushed out, peeked through the peephole, and immediately opened the door, launching myself into Ethan's arms. It's freezing out here. Ethan stepped inside, shut the door behind him, then looked down at my feet. No slippers? No socks? Go put something on now. And barely home and already scolding me. Why are you still awake at this hour? His tone was firm, like I was being reprimanded. I slipped into my slippers. Why'd you show up so late then? And you didn't even call first what if I was asleep? I just wanted to check in. I saw your lights were still on, Ethan said as he took off his coat. Still working? Yeah, revising the proposal. I dragged him to the bedroom and pointed at the computer screen. Almost done. Take a look. I majored in interior design. Ethan studied law, but he's surprisingly good at giving feedback. My firm also handled events expos, exhibitions, auctions. This proposal was for a high-end auction. Ethan scanned the plan and immediately spotted a flaw. Your design's a bit too overpowering. For this kind of venue, the focus should be on the auction items, not the space. I had to admire it's not in the field, but he really knows his stuff. You're right, that's exactly what my boss meant. But why couldn't he just say it like that? Using Ethan's suggestions, I revised the proposal and handed it in the next morning. My boss looked over it and stared at me in disbelief. You really did this yourself? Of course. He set the file down. Olivia, do you know what your biggest flaw is? You tend to be superficial, always adding unnecessary bells and whistles while missing the core issue. End of superficial? Me? But this time, you did really well. Keep this up and you'll be management in no time. He smiled at me, actually smiled. He was genuinely pleased. So I asked, Boss, all this time you've been yelling at me without explaining anything. Was that on purpose? I'd figure things out myself? Obviously. You think I have time to pick on some newbie for fun? Fair enough. I guess I won't call him Baldy anymore. Thanks, boss. Back at my desk, I texted Ethan to tell him the proposal had been approved. He replied with a simple congrats sticker. That's it? Boring. Aren't you happy for me? I sent him a voice message. Ethan, what else do you want me to do? I finished the proposal and I got a bonus. Let's celebrate tonight and you owe me a little reward. Ethan, all right. After dinner that night, on our way home, Ethan asked, What kind of reward do you want? I leaned over to whisper in his ear. Ethan frowned. That's a little reward? End of from. Sophie and Mason had made up. Mason may be a bit clueless and stubborn, but he really does care about her. Ever since Sophie told him she didn't like him giving female coworkers rides, he won't even let me in his car anymore. I complained to Ethan. Mason's been awful these past few days while you were away. He bullies me every day. Really? You got bullied? Ethan teased. You're impossible. When I vent to you, you're supposed to take my side no matter what. Ethan chuckled and nodded. Of course, next time I see him I'll give him a piece of my mind just for you. As he spoke, he pulled me into his arms. Okay, let's talk seriously. All right. Tomorrow I'm going to visit your parents. Our families can have dinner together. Let's make this official. Was this his way of proposing? So unromantic. You think that's enough to get me to marry you? Dream on. Ethan. I'm not saying yes unless there's a proper proposal. You have to get on one knee. I say no, you try again. I say no again, and the third time maybe I'll say yes. Ethan. He nodded. Got it. Whatever you say. And after we're married, you have to listen to me. No more controlling me. I come first in everything, and you have to compliment me every day. You never compliment me. Ethan thought for a moment. I never did? Never. You always say I'm childish. You better make it up to mere no wedding. He smiled and nodded. All right, I'll make up for it, but I have one condition too. I folded my arms. Let's hear it. Ethan looked serious. No matter what happens, you're not allowed to say the words break up ever again. We'll be married. Shouldn't it be divorce instead? Ethan pressed his lips together and gave me the "you're an idiot" look. I was just joking. Who actually brings up divorce like that? I won't say it. I don't believe you. Then what do you want? Ethan thought for a moment. As punishment, every time you say divorce, I'll spank you. That's domestic abuse. Ethan burst out laughing. Come here, he said, beckoning me. Something felt off. What for? Come here. I walked over hesitantly. He leaned in close and whispered in my ear. Ethan Carter, you've gotten so naughty after these 2 years. Ethan and I got married. Just like that, simple and quick. Because of the pandemic, we didn't throw a big wedding, just registered our marriage and had a meal with friends and family. Married life didn't change much, except now, after 2 years of peace, I had someone hovering over me again. According to my mom, I've never been the serious type. She always said, only someone like Ethan Carter can keep you in check. Truly, there's a lid for every pot. My mother-in-law said that Ethan was dead set against going on the blind date at first, but changed his mind the moment he met me. During those 2 years apart, he stayed quiet. Who knew we'd get back together and end up married? That's fate. I think Ethan might be the only one who can keep me in line, but I'm also the only one who can keep him in line. Sophie and Mason also got married. If they hadn't, Sophie's belly would have given it away anyway. Ethan and I agreed not to have kids for now. He said he'd leave that decision to me. Our peaceful days continued for about half a year. Then one day, my boss called me into the office. Take a look at this. He handed me an iPad. Wait, this is my design. What do you want to do? He asked. I didn't even hesitate. Of course I'm going to sue them. Then he seemed to remember something. Oh, right, your husband's a lawyer, isn't he? Yep. That's perfect. I heard the company's contract with our current law firm is about to expire. We're not planning to renew. No way we're handing that opportunity to someone else. Why don't you talk to the director and recommend your husband? You're such a great boss. I was so moved I blurted out, I'll never call you Baldy again. Boss. Oh. We stared at each other for a few seconds, and then he said, well, to be fair, I always call you the stubborn little brat behind your back, too. Oh. I scratched my head awkwardly. I'll go see the director now. Go on. And about the copyright issue, handle that with your husband. Things like this happen all the time. Worst case, they apologize and pay some compensation. You're a lawyer's wife, you must understand that. Got it, I'll head out. I met with the director and recommended Ethan. They hit it off immediately, and the contract was signed in no time. Ethan even complimented me. My wife's really grown up. Knows what she's doing. She even got her husband a job. Did you hear that? He complimented me. Don't sweet-talk me. I'm being serious here. I told him everything about the copyright infringement. I'll take the case, Ethan said, but what's your payment method? The look in his eyes said it all. I tugged the strap of my nightgown down a little. How about this? Men so easily seduced by me. The next day I went to meet the person who'd copied my design. He kept rambling on and on. Ha! I turned around and called Ethan in. He walked in calmly, extended his hand, and said, "Hello, I'm Ethan Carter, Olivia's husband." No, wrong. I tugged on his sleeve. Ethan corrected himself. I mean, I'm Olivia's legal representative. That's more like it.